days at the stick. From who's got it better than us to brick by brick. It's always the 49ers way, from off-season to game day. Yeah, we talk back. It's the 49ers Cutback.
It's 49ers Cutback podcast time. It's time to talk about more news. Some of it good, some of it bad, but all along the way, it's 49ers football. Preparation for Philadelphia is in full swing, and we got to see how this team is going to be constituted when we take those snaps and take the field 10 a.m. Pacific time on Sunday.
Going to be very, very good. It's going to be very, very interesting to see what happens. But a lot of news, a lot of things to get into, a lot of things to dive into, so make sure you hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button as well if you haven't already, that notification bell. That way you're notified, be one of the 30% of the Cutback crew that is here immediately when videos go live. You don't want to be late and miss out on information, or come in halfway through a video and ask a question that's already been talked about because it was breaking news. Don't miss out on those things. Make sure you're notified. Make sure you're subscribed. But let's dive into this, Ant, because there are questions, right? Greenlaw is officially out. He's on IR now. They make the move. He's going to be having core muscle surgery. Timetable for recovery varies by who you're talking to, but most experts say 3 to 12 weeks an athlete can return from this surgery.
Yeah, I've seen that it was reported different ways. Local people having it 4 to 6 weeks. Ian Rappaport having it 6 to 8 weeks. So I'm going to go ahead and say anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks is what it's going to be. So we know Trey's going to be, on the bench for a little bit. He's going to be, not able to get out there and play, and that's unfortunate. We really need Dre Greenlaw in this defense. He is a big-time player. The hopes of Dre Greenlaw being a Pro Bowler now have been dashed by this injury, unfortunately. But I think we can definitely have a little bit of hope, because Alshire played so well against Detroit that at least we know we have another guy that can step in there and play. There were question marks about Alshire before. I think we all saw the potential, but you were wondering how would he play in the run fits, how would he play stopping the run, and he seemed to do a very good job. And he seemed more physical than ever before, making a lot of big, tough hits, playing coverage very well. The things that Dre Greenlaw does well, tackling guys in front of the sticks and making those plays. It's not about giving up receptions, but closing and making those tackles. I thought it was really good. So Alshire is going to be the man to step up, which brings just so many questions about the other linebacker spot. We have capable bodies, but can these guys play to the level that the 49ers need to be able to beat Philly, Green Bay, Arizona, and Seattle, who will probably be the teams that the 49ers play without Dre Greenlaw?
Accurate, Ant. Very, very accurate indeed. And this just sucks. Greenlaw being out. It seems like the reports is that this happened on the pick six. So on the pick six is where things got re-aggravated, where things got a little wonky. And then he's been fighting through it and dealing with it and trying to play through all of this. So kudos to that man. It may also explain why he's been struggling a little bit in the preseason at certain times in certain situations. It looked like he wasn't, as dynamic getting downhill and making plays in the hole and stopping and slowing down the run game. That may have been why he's been dealing with this for some time now. They've been saying. So this answers a lot of questions with Dre Greenlaw. It sucks that we're not going to have him. But the thing you talked about and the thing you brought up with Alshire, all of it is important. This guy now has a massive, massive shoe to fill, right? A massive hole to step into, and to demonstrate something and be consistent about it. Because last week in week one was impressive. And I know a lot of 49ers fans, player of the week in a lot of different places, a lot of different 49ers podcasts, a lot of different 49ers just talking spaces. People were talking about the player of the game being Dre Greenlaw because of the pick six. That was a big, important play. But Alshire stepping up and doing the things that he needed to do as well was huge for this team last week, because it was a big question mark. This is an area that could be exploited on a week in, week out basis. And if this guy can elevate and play at a level that, we weren't 100% sure he could play at, there's less questions. Obviously, he's not going to be able to fully replace what Dre Greenlaw brings to the table for this linebacking core, but can he stave it off enough, right? Long enough for Greenlaw to get back healthy from this and return to form. That's all we really need out of him right now. DeMeco Ryans still has enough pieces around in the secondary with guys like Talanoa Hufanga, with guys like Marcel Harris, that they can, maneuver their way around, whether even Nathan Jerry coming up off the practice squad, if that's the route they decide to take. They can maneuver around this problem and this situation for a short period of time. There is no long-term solution, though, that doesn't include Dre Greenlaw. Dre Greenlaw has to be the long-term solution in this linebacking room. But for a little bit of time, You're hoping maybe before the bye, but most likely after the bye, heading into that game against the Colts is where we're looking to get him back, and that will give us that little extra breath of life coming in out of that bye week, and hopefully he has enough time to recover and get in because we're going to need him down the stretch.
I talked about this a little bit on the previous show. You worry now that you don't have the third linebacker in your base 4-3 sets, what the run fits are going to look like. Because Al-Shaair can fly up the field and cut these plays off on the outside zone that Phillies are planning on running. What you don't know is who's going to be there for the cutback. Because when they come and they're flowing downhill, they've got to find the open window, close it down, and make the tackle at the point of attack. If that linebacker's not there, there's a cutback lane, and these guys can press the line of scrimmage, jump, cut, and get to where they need to get. And it creates big lanes and big opportunities for them to be able to run the football, and that's putting a lot of pressure on Jaquiski Tart and Jimmy Ward to make tackles in space, or even a corner that's out there playing. So you need these guys to be in the right spots, and that's where the worry comes in, because I haven't seen it from Flanagan Foles yet. I haven't seen him be able to do that on a consistent basis. I don't see him being able to really win at contact points. Flying upfield and cutting it off, he's going to be able to do. So if he's on the play side, he can handle business, set the edge. But if he's on the backside, I worry about it a little bit. He just doesn't get there. He gets caught in the wash of the offensive line, blocking defensive linemen. So it is going to come down to the defensive line. I think it's going to have to make a big difference this week, because they're going to have to be able to stay in their line gaps in their responsibilities and make sure run fits are good. Keep offensive linemen off of Fred Warner. Keep offensive linemen off Azeez Al-Shaair, so that way they can make tackles. And the other thing I brought up is, maybe this is the time to go to more of a 3-safety look. Bring Talanoa Hufanga in for a dual purpose of the fact that, number one, he can help you around the line of scrimmage in the run game, but also give you the flexibility to help stop these smoke screens and tunnel screens that they run out on the outside to Jalen Reagor and those kind of guys. And he's very good at blowing those up. He did it very good at USC, something they could take advantage of, and maybe an angle that they need to go with that can help, mask and disguise what is going on in this linebacker room, because I don't think I feel comfortable. I don't know how everyone else feels. If they feel comfortable with Demetrius Flanagan Foles being that guy, I don't feel comfortable with Marcel Harrison run fits. I do feel comfortable with him in the pass game. And that's the real problem is we don't have that comfort level we had with Al-Shaair compared to what we got now as the backups. Maybe Nathan Jerry's a guy that we could count on.
Maybe.
But he hasn't been healthy, and until he proves that he's all the way back, he's not that option either.
No, it's not, and you talked about this a little bit in the previous show. This is a situation right now where it'd be very, very nice if we still had Jonas Griffin. If we still had this guy on this roster, it'd be less concerning. There'd be less questions. But it is what it is. We made the move that we made. We lied down in the bed that we have set for ourselves, and that the coaching staff made the choices for this roster for. And now there's tough choices to be made and situations to be had. It's going to be interesting to see if Talanoa Hufanga is a guy, especially this week. It really does make sense this week. A lot of the stuff that the Eagles have done has been underneath. They haven't taken a lot of big shots. The one long pass they did have and they did complete, Jalen Hurts underthrew Zach Ertz by a good 5 yards. He had to stop in space, come back to it, fall down, and then they did have a nice little 20-yarder in the red zone to Devontae Smith for the touchdown. But there haven't been any deep balls. They haven't taken that many shots, and you would expect a team with all of this speed that you'd see more of it. It's definitely something that's shifted from last year with Carson Wentz, who was comfortable and wanting to throw the deep ball. Jalen Hurts hasn't taken as many of those shots. So because of that, bringing a guy like Talanoa Hufanga in and making sure you shore up around the line of scrimmage in certain situations could be right. It could be a thing. And we talked about this. We were very comfortable with Talanoa Hufanga coming in and having an impact on this team. I didn't think that was going to be the case heading into the season, but he proved it in the preseason, and this might be his opportunity to step up in a big way.
Yeah, it definitely could. I mean, they definitely have weapons in other positions that can maybe help and aid what they need to do in this type of situation and overcome this injury. It's not going to be easy by any means. Dre Greenlaw is one of those guys that can really make tackles in the open space. He makes tackles consistently. If you watch just the Detroit game in that first half, every single time a running back or a tight end caught the ball underneath, he made the tackle right away. There's no yards after catch against him. That's what you need from these guys. You can't have these guys, making these short yard catches and then getting extra yards, getting upfield. And that's what Gainwell and Sanders can do if you give them the opportunity.
Yeah.
Not to mention, we talked about Quez Watkins, and Jalen Reagor, and now Devontae Smith. All of them have the ability to catch the ball on a quick screen and take it to the house. House calls can come, fly sweeps can come. All these things can happen because of these guys' great electric speed. 49ers are going to have to keep them at check and keep them at bay and make sure you make tackles consistently. Tackle them, don't let them get extra yards, and you'll be okay. Getting off the field on third down is going to be more important than ever especially without Dre Greenlaw. They're going to have to figure it out, manufacture some things. I'm curious what DeMeco Ryans is coming up with to execute this game plan against Philly.
Yeah, no, and the other thing too that you cannot forget is this Niners offense is going to have to get off to a hot start. They need to now to relieve some of this pressure off of this defense. If the Niners offense can get going and put up a couple of touchdowns in their first couple of drives, and the defense can bend but not break and maybe only give up a field goal or two, you're sitting at 14-6 with the Niners getting the ball back and having the chance to go up 21-6. You're now going to take a lot of pressure and apply it up from your defense onto Philly's offense. You can go ahead and try and run the ball as much as you'd like to do and take those checkdowns underneath, but you only have so much time. And if 3 drives have come and gone right for your defense and the Niners have scored on 3 straight possessions, questions. Can you get the stop that you need late in this game to keep yourself in the game? It's gonna start making things very difficult for the Eagles. It starts making them become very predictable. And if they're predictable, you now have a much better chance of your DeMeco Ryans of putting the right guys in the right situations to slow them down and be able to handle whatever it is that they're going to be throwing your way.
Yeah, and the defense might be strong in other areas because Kinlaw is going to be back. Mm-hmm. It appears he's going to be back. Now, I can't say 100% he's going to be back, but he's trending in the right direction. Yeah, we're on the same page here because he had limited practice and he went through individual drills. So as long as the knee doesn't have some sort of a flare-up, it looks like he's trending towards playing against Philly, which is huge because he can help stop the run game inside, the physical ability that he has to be able to take on double teams and not get pushed back, not give up ground, but stay in his gaps and keep that gap integrity is going to be very important, not to mention just to make Jalen Hurts uncomfortable when he collapses the pocket from the inside. But I think even more so in the run game than the pass game this week from Kinlaw. And then you get Armstead as well that's also limited in practice. But I think we're starting to feel a little bit better about him being able to play with a hip abductor. I know I do. I feel better that he was out there with limited practice, which means it's probably not as serious as we were thinking. But if we have both of those guys, this defensive line can mask and help some of those issues that we're going to have from missing Dre Greenlaw. And we definitely need these guys out there. So Kinlaw, we lose one Law, maybe we get another Law. So law and order can happen on the field as long as we get Kinlaw taking care of business, which I think he can as long as he's out there.
I agree with you. And this is the good news. And I see 49ers fans daily right now freaking out about all the injuries and freaking out about guys not practicing. Take a deep breath. Go look at the Eagles injury report from practice, how many guys they had limited or not practicing yesterday, as well as the guys they're having today as well that are going to be limited and not practicing. There's a big list of names over there as well. Teams deal with this. Guys get nicked up, guys sit out, guys take maintenance days. You're trying to make sure these guys are healthy for Sunday. Healthy for Sunday is the key. Sunday is the most important day. I don't know. Sometimes I think people forget
Sunday,
that.
fun day.
Sunday is fun day. It's also the most important day of the week for the 49ers, especially this week. This week 2 game is important. I've seen people talk about how, it's not the end of the world if they don't win this game because you got 15 more. You still have time, right? Poppycock on that because we got 2 NFC West opponents in this first half of this first 6 games. We need to build up as many wins as possible in these first 6 weeks, right? This first half of the season here before the bye week, it is crucial that we be in a powerful position with our ranking and things of that nature, so that the rest of the NFC West is trying to compete and stay with San Francisco and not us trying to play catch up later in the year. The further ahead we are of the ball on this and staying, out in front of the NFC West or staying pace with other teams in the NFC West, the better off this team is going to be, especially once all these pieces are back and healthy.
You have to win any games you have the opportunity to win. And you looked at the schedule early on, and these were 2 games you thought you needed to win. They need to be able to go in there and beat Philadelphia. And they're going to have questions, throughout this team. They've had questions on the D-line. Now they have questions at linebacker with Greenlaw. And they have questions in the secondary as well. And we've seen this, for a while now. And Jason Verrett just completely amplified those issues going down for the season. And now there's big questions that Emmanuel Mosley is going to be out as well. So now you're going to have 2 different corners than you were anticipating being in your starting lineup week 1. You're going to have Deommodore Lenoir because it looks like Deommodore Lenoir is going to be a starter, which is big news. He's got to step up. He's kind of said as much that he needs to make sure he plays at a high level, and he did very good against Detroit. But who starts next to him? Who's that guy that's going to be playing over there? DeMeco Ryans talked about how Josh Norman and Dre Kirkpatrick are picking up the defense pretty well. They're veterans, they're savvy guys, they know where they're supposed to be. They're going to be ready to go, and they're going to be able to do the things that they need them to do. But this is going to be big questions. Deommodore Lenoir is going to get a real test out there because he's going to get tested with speed. He's not the fastest corner there is, but, you don't have to be fast if you have your technique right. but I'm curious to see if they try to take shots at him early. It didn't look like Detroit even tried him. Will Philly go after him? Will Philly go after Deommodore Lenoir, or will they go after one of these veterans that are playing on the other side, where it's one of those things where we know what we got on one side, so we're going to go ahead and attack it? I think those are interesting storylines. Another thing to keep in mind, if the 49ers have to attribute a safety or somebody like that in the box in early downs to help stop the run, that could create issues where Deommodore Lenoir is singled up, where Josh Norman or Drake Kirkpatrick is singled up, and those could create big-time plays, especially if they can't corral Jalen Hurts and keep him in the pocket.
They got to. They have to focus on that. I mean, it's one of the more important aspects of all of this, because if you call the right coverage and guys are getting the right press and just slowing them down in their routes or jumping their routes, right? The scheme is working. You dial it in. You make the right call. Everyone knows where the Eagles receivers are going, and you take away, right, the first read. You take away the second read, and now Jalen Hurts sitting there going, oh no, oh God. If he's able to escape and get away, it's gonna cause problems. It always does, but even more so now because there are question marks, big question marks at the cornerback room and what you have there. But like I said, Demo looks ready. He's played the part so far very well. He hasn't really been tested though. He still has not been. We saw it a little bit against the Raiders in that preseason game, and he had a couple not blunders, but a couple mistakes. A couple situations there where, he gave up some stuff that he shouldn't have, but he had some good coverage also on a lot of those, and receivers just made great catches. So this week's going to be important because this is one of the better wide receiving cores that he's going to face. I mean, look, I know he got the week 1 run, right, in the week 1 rub in the preseason against Tyreek Hill and the Chiefs, and there were a couple times Tyreek toasted him. Tyreek toasts a lot of people, so I'm not concerned about that. But this is a very talented, athletic, speedy wide receiving core here in Philadelphia. Yeah. Luckily for Demo, I think the good news is, right, the Eagles haven't shown that they want to take deep shots yet. So that bodes well in his favor where he can be a little bit more aggressive and just stay ready, and they can just maybe have some safety help over the top for the corners and just have him be aggressive underneath and see what it is the Eagles want to do. But there's always a risk with that, right? Because all it takes is one situation where a safety gets caught off guard, gets caught up in a play action or a run fake, and you get a guy over the top, and now we're in Troublesville, right? This is not a good position that we want to be in. So it'll be interesting to see who else is running opposite of Demo. It'll be interesting to see how Demo holds up for a full 4 quarters against a much talented, heavily improved receiving core for the Philadelphia Eagles, and a much more talented receiving core than what he saw in week 1.
Another receiving core predicated on speed, just like Detroit. Mm-hmm. Everything is predicated on speed. The one thing is you have a little bit more talent with, especially Devontae. He's very fast, but he's very fluid in the way he runs routes. He's got clean routes. And you've seen Jalen Hurts had a lot of chemistry with him, and they were going back and forth, just like they did at Bama.
I was going to say, it's like they played together or something. That's crazy.
So I also am going to be looking forward to seeing what DeMeco Ryans does as far as taking away Devontae Smith. If I was a defensive coordinator, that's what I would want to do. I'd want to put an extra safety around him. Make sure that you somewhat bracket this guy. Make somebody else beat you. Make Jalen Reagor beat you down the field.
Make J.J. Arcega-Whiteside beat you.
Yeah, you're not worried about J.J. Arcega-Whiteside beating you at all. But yeah, you're worried about these guys, beating you down the field. But Reagor hasn't proven to have consistent hands as well. So you put it to the test. I think that's where you go. Maybe you put Lenoir in a safety on Devontae Smith as much as possible, or K'Wan Williams if he's in the slot, which I think he'll operate mostly out of the slot.
I think so too.
Yeah, and then you go ahead and Quez Watkins, Deommodore Lenoir, I feel comfortable with Quez Watkins on him. I did a lot of film study on Watkins. Watkins has the ability to beat him deep, but where Deommodore Lenoir can take advantage of is being physical. If he can win on the physicality at the line of scrimmage with the press, he can get Quez Watkins off of his routes and off of his lines, and then he can take advantage of that and win down the field.
He is not a physical wideout.
No, he's not.
No,
but he needs to be used in certain ways. He can do things behind the line of scrimmage with fly sweeps, quick screens. All those things are really things Quez can take advantage of. And if he gets a good he gets off on you early, you're in trouble. Because
if he gets a good jump and you don't get hands on him,
yeah. If you don't get your hands on him early, if you're not playing the right, playing it right, his press release is good, you're in trouble. So I think there are going to be opportunities, and they can kind of use their safeties and Fred Warner to negate these tight ends. And once they do that, is going to give them the opportunity to kind of help, whether that is help K'Wan Williams, help Deommodore Lenoir with other players in other situations. So I am curious how they scheme it up. This is one of those weeks I'm really looking at DeMeco Ryans like, all right, how are you going to scheme it up? What personnel grouping are you going to roll with? How many times are you going to play with nickel? And also, how does Philly correspond? What is Philly doing? Are they going to go a lot of 3 wide receiver sets, or are they going to come with a lot of 2 tight end sets and get Goddard and Ertz out there together? I think if they did that, they're going to try to run the ball. 49ers might have a little bit of a problem in the run game. So it's going to be kind of a pick your poison. I'm curious ultimately how each team, whether it's Sirianni or DeMeco Ryans, attacks this.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting matchup. It's going to be important. It's drastically important now more than ever. Hopefully Kinlaw adds to this and bolsters this defense's ability to slow down the run. Luckily for San Francisco, they showed a lot of outside zone. And I feel if they do that, if they try to go that route against San Francisco, you're playing into our hands. Fred Warner can get lateral. Aziz Al-Shaair can get lateral. You're going to allow us to put Talanoa Hufanga in the box to be able to come up and stuff runs as well. That helps. Jimmy Ward can do that. We can go nickel package and you try and go outside zone. Good luck getting around the shark. That's not going to happen. So if they try and go outside zone, it's not going to bode well for them, I don't believe. I think that if they're going to go run heavy, they're going to have to try and work and operate interior like Detroit did. And I think DeMeco Ryans, you talked about this, and I had asked you a little bit about this. I think DeMeco Ryans wants teams to right now to try and test the 49ers up inside in the interior run game, right? Do your best, do your worst. And once you get going and we see what the issues are, we'll adjust and bring those run blitzes in, find different ways to attack or maybe different stunts and looks up front so that we can slow down that interior run game but still take away that outside.
Yeah, 100%. That's exactly what you're trying to do. You're going to take away the other team's strengths and then make them beat you with something that they're maybe not the best at. And that's not something they're really good at, is that vertical run game. But it's going to be very tempting for the Eagles to go ahead and attack that way because of what you saw against Detroit.
Yeah.
DeMeco Ryans talked about it's really the run fits weren't that good. They just didn't execute and they need to execute better. That is part of it. The other part is the fact that they run the wide nine, and there are avenues and lanes for these guys to be able to run through. You just have to be able to squeeze it down, and they weren't able to get it done very good against Detroit. The question is, are these guards for the Eagles as good as the guards for Detroit? Because I thought Detroit's guards played very well.
They did.
So that's going to be another area to watch. And if the 49ers defensive line wins at the point of attack this week and this run game cannot get going for Philly, it could turn into a very, very long day for that offense and a very good day for the 49ers.
Absolutely. And we want that. We want all of the good days for San Francisco, especially with all the guys that all the issues we've been dealing with and some of the injuries that have been going down. Look, faithful cutback crew, we're not ones to jump the gun. A Greenlaw situation and the injury to Greenlaw, it does worry us. It concerns us because he does so many things for this defense, and there's no guy really there to replace. We were already weak at that linebacker spot. We're even weaker than we were before. Luckily, it's not season ending. He's going to be coming back into the fold sooner rather than later, which is great news. We like to hear that. But yeah, there's concerns. Is it a training staff's fault or a coach's fault or anything? No, it's the nature of football.
Right.
Greenlaw was playing through an injury, something that he had already sustained, something that had already occurred and already happened. It is what it is. I just tip my hat to him and salute him for gutting it out as long as he did, man, because dealing with core muscle injuries as a linebacker in which you're taking shots, coming up and eating blocks, having to constantly stabilize your core, brace for impact, and then try and lay the wood and the hammer down, he had to have been in constant discomfort. So kudos to Dre Greenlaw. Go get yourself right. Go get yourself taken care of. And hopefully Aziz Al-Shaair can hold down the fort while you're gone, and DeMeco Ryans can get creative to spare us a little bit there with our third linebacker for the time being.
Yeah, it would have been nice if God would have turned off the injuries for this game because we do not need those kind of injuries. And unfortunately, it looks like we're going to have to play season without injuries off.
Jeez, man.
It's too bad.
That sucks, bro.
Yeah.
I wish this was Madden.
Alex, are there any linebackers out there that you're thinking could possibly be a 49er guy that they could bring in? They have Nathan Jerry on the practice squad. Maybe they're going to elevate him.
Other than making a trade, right? I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think there's any big names out there.
It's Ruben time.
I hear you saying Reuben Foster, but he did already go to Cleveland. Is Cleveland going to pull the trigger and bring this guy in before San Francisco?
He went to the Jets too, and
he did go to the Jets
out there. So, he's making his rounds.
He's making his rounds.
I think it would be hard for this front office to bring him back after everything that's happened.
Yeah.
With the off the field issues, as far as a talent perspective, he's definitely talented enough.
Yeah.
But 100%, I just threw it out there because that is the conversation that's going around, and I just wanted to kind of throw it out.
It's a fair conversation to have. It really is. I don't ever consider bringing back Reuben Foster because of how everything went down here in San Francisco. I think York, I think Lynch look at it and just like, no.
Yeah.
No. And listen, he could have course corrected, right? I don't know what Reuben Foster has been up to since everything happened, but I can tell you as a 49er,
more injuries. That's what he's been up to.
It's been a lot of injuries, yeah. But the situation itself while he was here was just really self-inflicted. And when you do something like that, when that is your first impression with an organization, that's really hard to shake.
It is. It's hard for a team to not just completely wash their hands of you. And they moved on from him, and they've done a very good job of drafting linebackers and developing undrafted free agent linebackers. It's an interesting conversation because I think there's a part of every person that would love to see Reuben Foster come back and play well for the team that drafted him.
Absolutely.
And then, oh, wow, now we hit lightning in a bottle.
And completely turn it around, right?
Yeah.
Like, everything happens the way it happens. He goes off. He, breaks the hearts of 49ers fans. He completely drops the ball, hits rock bottom, comes back around into the fold because of injuries, and asserts himself and steps up in a big way. It'd be a great story, but is Reuben Foster at that point? Is he?
I have no idea.
Is he mentally at that point where he's ready to make that turnaround, right, as a person and as a player on the field? And can he do enough to convince the front office that's hard, man? That's a hard task.
Yeah, it's somebody to at least mention.
Consider it.
I'm sure they're going to make a roster move, and it probably won't be Reuben Foster, but it was just interesting.
I mean, if it's going to be a linebacker, right, it's most likely going to be Nathan Jarrett. Would be the next name that you would think, right? They pull up because they had him in already. They cut him because of the injury stuff. He went somewhere else. He ends up back on the 49ers practice squad. You would imagine that would be the name. That'd be the only name right now that I can think of.
Yeah, nobody else really makes sense that could step in this. I mean, you have Flanagan, Foles, you have Marcel Harris, so you have to roll with those guys. So
you would think, you would absolutely think. So other guys that are currently available right now.
Slim to none.
Oh man, Aaron Lynch.
He's an outside edge rusher, so no.
They list him as an outside linebacker, of course. Isaiah Irving, James Vaughters, Jared Norris, Jerrion Elliott.
Wow, these are some names.
That's really about it, right?
Yeah,
that's really about it.
There's nothing out there. I mean, you could bring back Elijah Sullivan.
You could.
But you cut him from your practice squad for Nathan Jerry, so.
Well, and isn't Justin Hilliard too? He's on a practice squad, right?
I believe he's with the New York Giants.
But he's on the practice squad.
I don't know.
Oh boy.
No, I think he's on there active. I think they claimed him.
Oh boy. Well, that just sucks if that's the case. There's names, there's possibilities, there's potentiality. Will any of that happen?
Reuben.
It could happen. I won't count it out. Cutback crew, let us know what you think in the comment section down below. Do the 49ers need to bring back Reuben Foster right now? Are you worried about Kinlaw? Are you worried about Armstead? Are they not trending? We're completely wrong. They missed practice the other day. Just because they got unlimited practice doesn't mean Jack Diddley squat. They're not playing. You just know. Let us know in the comment section down below. Let us know about Greenlaw. How worried, how concerned are you? And then while you're down there commenting away, chatting it up with the Cutback crew, chatting it up with us, don't forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell. That way you're here right away at 2 o'clock for What's Good with our boy Jay in the Bay for episode 2. He's got 5 big things for you, and he's also taking some questions from the Cutback crew.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. I'm excited to see what his 5 big things are. That's going to be very pivotal in the 49ers being able to beat Philly. So I'm excited for that. I'm excited for everything that's coming up later on, especially after Jay in the Bay at 5:30. There's going to be Know Your Opponent with Hands to the Face. Legal Hands to the Face podcast. So definitely want to check out that. More insight on the Philadelphia Eagles. So a lot of great things still to come up. And I'm interested to see if anyone can come up with a linebacker option because usually people do. I know Jay Ellie normally comes up with somebody out of nowhere that I haven't thought of. So I would really like to see if somebody can think of someone, or even if it's a trade, think of somebody that could come in the interim and help bridge the gap and get us, to the point where we can get to where Dre Greenlaw's back out there. So yeah, let us know. I'm interested to see it.
Absolutely. We want to hear from you, Cutback crew. This was a lot of fun. We enjoyed it. We hope you enjoyed the Madden simulation. If you missed that, go check that out right now. That'll kill some time until What's Good. And then until the next one, Cutback crew and the faithful, stay safe.
Remember, the right way is always the 49ers way.